Welcome to Crisis with Kira
and Isis. Is that
no?
Can you make more of like a?
Yeah, we're not chickens.
We're goose.
No. We are goose.
We are goose. Would you like to start with Halloween?
Well, first, I need you to close your eyes. Actually, wait a second. How should I do this? Keep your eyes closed.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Keep your eyes closed. Closed.
They're closed. Super closed. Oh, I'm scared. Can I peek?
No. You literally cannot.
I'm having a hard time.
Okay. I also have a pair for you.
Be fucking for real. You're serious? How does it look with my glasses?
Looks fine.
Do you think they could tell who we are?
Welcome to Ice Cry with Bill
and Joel.
It's kind of beaky, though. Oh my god, is it terrible to call this a beak?
I think that's anti-Semitic of you.
Well, this is based off of Groucho Marx.
I kind of want to lick the fuzz.
Is he Jewish? Let's look it up. Look it up.
Groucho Marx?
Groucho Marx? I feel like he has to be. With this thing? Getting down to the bottom of it. It's so...
I know, it's really... Well, he's from New York, so that's... We're getting somewhere.
Okay, yep. And answer is...
We're getting... It's you know he's Jewish, so it might be hidden.
Yeah. And he was Jewish, like...
Marx's family was Jewish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Who would have guessed? I could smell that from a mile away. Dude, this is our first like late recording episode. Or this is our first like late night.
It's our first delirium episode.
Yeah, which I'm kind of excited. I feel like I'm feeling the
late night vibes.
Yeah, the freaks come out at night, you know?
The freaks come out at night. Hold up, I'm like feeling like really overwhelmed with all that's going on.
You look so funny.
I'm having a sensory overload.
I just can't wait to like see your intro and just cut to this. Oh, but I feel like if we were just talking about something like totally seriously, that would be the best.
Where did you get this?
It's for my dance.
It's even worse. You're really trying to...
Isn't that hilarious?
Yeah.
I have like 6 pairs now.
This is concerning. I feel like my nose is too close to the mic. I feel like I can't get as close as I need to because I feel like you're too far.
You need to be a nose distance away.
This could be a new
and
metric
then if we just go here,
of measurement.
Does it look like a beak?
Should we just break off the glasses? And just
a beak with a mustache?
Oh my god, that's terrible. Okay, do you want to commit to the bit and wear this the whole time?
Not the whole time.
Oh, okay. This is what the greatness of having a co-host with great ideas. Okay, so Halloween or birthday?
I guess my birthday.
Oh, not fun. Go ahead.
Bro, I can't think with these on.
Can we?
Making me stupider. Hold on, let me do my birthday recap. Okay, so also it's like, it hits my lip.
Yeah, it's like tickling the bottom of my lip. I can't. All of my senses.
Bro, if you could just chop up a line with this.
Give it to me. Could you imagine how much room you have for narcotics in here? Okay, so your birthday.
Wait.
Oh, there's more. I can't wait.
wait. Oh, wait. Wait, what do they do? How do they do this?
Do what?
Like,
like
that
this.
thing.
Where it's like, hold on.
No, it's not like that though. How do you? I think it's because it's like last time I did it with my brother was like with a crayon, so it was like small enough to just have. Wait, no. I'm getting close.
Who says crayon
Oh
like
no,
that?
it's like this because it's like if it's just this long, then you can have it here and then go like this.
You want to do it the other way to the camera so they can see it? What you're trying to go
Well, but
for?
it looks stupid. With this, it's too long.
The Nick.
There's some lip gloss.
Do it that way. On the other side.
Oh, were you looking for this?
It's like snot colored too. Where'd you get this? I never see you wear this.
I think Katie left it in my house.
I was gonna say, there's no way you wear this.
You just want to add to the textures going on.
Ew.
All right.
Okay.
And will we ever talk about anything today?
All right, so your birthday. Bro, I can't. I can't even get in there.
I need a tissue. So, dude, what the fuck even happened? I feel like we haven't been in here in like ages.
I know, we took last week off from recording.
Yeah, we took a whole week off.
We were just like,
Crazy.
can't do that.
Yeah, I mean, school's been absolutely insane.
Wait, so not the birthday yet. School?
So, well, it goes into like just how I was able to experience my birthday, just because I'm so stressed right now that like.
Oh my God, I thought you were actually crying. I was like, really? I was like, right now? Right now's the time, Kira?
Could you imagine?
I would have
My purple mascara.
I don't think I would have any more feelings to feel after all of this.
Do you want a feather?
Blow out your eyes.
Oh my God, how have we not pretended to tickle each other? Oh man,
Just a white
props are so
unibrow.
funny.
Aging in the middle.
What do you look like? Oh my God, that just changed the whole look. Dude, now you almost look like the guy in Jurassic Park. For some reason, that's what I instantly thought of. Like, I don't know if he's Italian or what, but dude, and wow, give me it. It changed the whole vibe. I'm telling you.
Well, I haven't watched Jurassic Park, so I don't know. Oh.
It like brings out something different in the mustache for some reason.
That's insane.
Like,
well, you don't have it like.
I don't know if you're seeing what I was seeing, but
No, I
it
wasn't.
just did
but...
something for some
Okay.
reason.
School.
Stress. So it's like I'm just imagining catching a glimpse of someone walking by. Oh God. Okay. It's not that funny. So it's just been hard. Like having fun has just become more stressful currently because now it just feels half like work to like coordinate doing something fun, and then like I need to think about the homework that I have due, and I feel like I always am like I constantly have the feeling that I'm like forgetting something, so that causes me stress when I'm out, and then coordinating things to have fun, and then there's multiple people involved, and now it's like so much harder to think about trying to get other people involved because it just like each single person becomes like a whole other thing to deal with. But honestly, I think you taking me to get my toes done was probably like the best part, just because it was like the most low maintenance like thing for me to prepare for, and you know it was obviously just relaxing and just no shenanigans.
Sober.
It was great. But I did go out. We went to the casinos on my birthday was on a Sunday, which was kind of lame. It was my 21st birthday, by the way. We should say that. So, it's a big one, which such an unfortunate timing, like starting nursing school and a podcast, and choreographing a dance and having a job.
And babysitting.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. Part of the job situation.
Well, yeah, because I TA and then, I babysit a little bit. Just barely. Every once in a while. But, So, bad timing to have a 21st because I literally don't have time to be blasted at any point. I literally told somebody the other day, I was like, I need my brain to be like at least 80%, 100% of the time. So like I don't got time for messing around like I used to.
Right.
But so it was on a Sunday, but we did go out Saturday night at midnight. We went to a casino, played some roulette.
She fucked it up.
Yeah, it caused a divide. Because I'm a red gal.
And the rest of us are black.
You're like all black. So.
Yeah. So then she was winning, so we were all losing, and it was hard to celebrate her at that point once we were running out of money at an accelerated rate. Sevens hit like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
I bought Kira a cake, and it was $7.77, and I just knew. For the rest of the night, sevens were going to hit. And like 17.
The brownie?
Yeah.
Oh,
sorry.
That's so funny.
Yeah. And so I just knew in my soul that sevens were going to hit the rest of the night. And they, like, to be honest, did.
Oh, also, my brother got married on the 13th.
Yep.
And my birthday was on the 15th. So at like their reception, I literally had no idea, and they just, like, brought out a cake and started singing, and it was, like, the sweetest thing ever, because I wouldn't have expected them to do that at their wedding, and I was like, but it touched me.
Yeah, and then also I had a wedding on the 14th. Oh, my God, it was the hardest day of my life.
Yeah. No, I literally, this month is, we're getting to the end. By the time this episode comes out, like, October will be over, and, like...
We'll be at peace.
My dance show will be over. I had 2 weddings in October, and my fucking 21st birthday was in October. So which it sucks because now it sounds like weddings and my birthday should in theory be like
the best thing ever.
Yeah, like times of leisure and fun and a time to like recharge with friends and family and good times. But no, absolutely not.
Well, we also like couldn't enjoy it because like even like on the day of the wedding we had homework to do. So it's like our brain, even if we're trying to have fun, in the back of our mind, it's like this is actually a waste of time.
Yeah, and like literally having to find a pocket of the day to remove yourself from all the fun. To just isolate and get your homework done and then, like, have to rejoin after your brain's, like,
fried.
Useless. And it's tough. But.
And then Kira had never had a gel. She's never had gel on before, like, just gel manicure in general. And so I got to take the farm girl to the city. Mm-hmm. And she got a gel pedicure. Hot-ass pink toes. Right now she's got her quackers on, but... But
Did you call me a quacker?
You're Jewish. You can't be.
Oh. Funny.
Honestly, with what's going on right now, you're looking like a real quacker. But I mean, I enjoyed your birthday. Yeah, I also had 2 weddings. We had one of the same weddings and then one separate one from each other, and then I can't.
Yeah, I think it's time. I think it's time.
Ooh, to retire that.
Oh,
that was terrible.
I feel kind of naked now.
Oh, fun. I really enjoyed. I enjoyed the wedding. I enjoyed the birthday. I enjoyed the casino. I think we had a pretty good time.
Hopefully my bonnet's not just completely cutting me off.
I hope not. Well, depends. Do you look up? And then. What else did we... I don't know. I think October's been really fun and eventful. But it's like weird because there's too much.
Too much.
And we did the zombie crawl, and we're going to do pub golf. Like, we're going to the bars with our friends on the Saturday before Halloween, and then we might go to frat parties, might not, and just like there's like too much going on.
You make it sound like we have to go to frat parties.
So we might not.
But we're still, but it's just one of those things.
Well, it's also one of those things, like I graduate in May, so this will be my last Halloween in college. So it's like, is the overworked, tired, fatigue worth not experiencing like one last thing?
Yeah, you just go hard, but it's been hard going hard.
And what's going to happen is Christmas is going to come and we're going to be sick as
a
fuck.
dog.
Like, it's going to be bad.
First of all, oh my God, I went to Trader Joe's today in a dress, and it put me in the best mood, like, ever.
Was it not freezing?
Honestly, I probably felt better after that than, like...
my whole birthday.
Yeah.
Also, it's been freezing.
Yeah, it's starting to get chilly.
And all the leaves are falling officially. It's, like, no longer colors.
I know, there's,
it's
like,
just
piles.
Yeah. So, speaking of...
romp in them.
Halloween. We did some research on the history of certain things, so we're going to touch on that. And we're going to talk about what we do, what we want to do, and kind of like just give you guys some background and some history on some of the spooky things that go on.
Sorry, I was just trying not to burp. But I hope it didn't just catch.
At least I can't smell it.
Oh, I think we didn't address our costumes, like, at all.
Oh, so for Halloween this year... we are
the geese from Aristocats.
Do we look like
if
them?
you haven't seen it,
it's a great Halloween
movie. It's a Disney movie from like the 70s, and it's actually great.
And the jazz playlist in there.
Ooh, we don't have an Uncle Waldo though.
We should have had Drew come in as a prop. Okay, so what are your traditions?
Well, there's some, because it's like bobbing for apples. I did once for my birthday once when I was like 8. That wasn't a family tradition we had,
But
I think I only did it once. I don't know if it needs to be. I read something about it, and it said, in the research, it said, apples are obviously a big part of fall, and then there was one tradition where they would like peel an apple and they keep it into one like strand, like the skin, and then they would spin and like throw it over their shoulder, and whatever letter it came out as, that was like their future lover's first initial.
Yes.
But then bobbing for apples, it was like the first person to like get an apple with their teeth was like the first to get married in the new year.
Yeah, so I have a thing here saying by 43 AD, the Roman Empire had conquered a majority of Celtic territory. In the course of the 400 years that they had ruled the Celtic lands, 2 festivals of Roman origin were created with the tradition of Celtic celebration of, how do you say it?
Samhain?
Samhain?
Yeah,
I hate the way.
It's Gaelic.
I hate Gaelic spelling.
No, it's insane.
Because it's not, like that should be illegal.
No
Samhain
sense.
is spelled Smhain. Anyways, but it's, I'm not going to talk about the first one, but the second day was to honor Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit and trees. The symbol of Pomona is the apple, and the incorporation of the celebration to the Samhain probably explains the tradition of bobbing for apples that is practiced today on Halloween.
Wait, fruit? Is it just fruit?
No.
Goddess of fruit and fertility?
Yeah, fruit and trees, and her
fruit and
symbol
trees.
was an apple particularly.
Okay. The Roman Empire?
Mm-hmm.
I thought they had more of a thing with pomegranates.
They probably have it somewhere
Or the
in
Greek?
there too. The Greek.
The Greeks more pomegranate? I don't know.
know.
I feel like pomegranates were more...
I know. I think it might just be for this specific goddess.
Yeah.
But so that's what I have about apples. Go ahead.
Oh, pumpkins. Hold on. I honestly feel like pumpkins were like a thing. My dad, it's probably one of his favorite things to like grow on the farm. Like he always...
Squash, zucchini.
There was like multiple seasons where he would have a huge patch of pumpkins, and we would have loads of pumpkins come out of there.
Like big pumpkins or like pie pumpkins?
Big, little, tiny,
edible?
Medium. Some he would plant like he would just go
chuck
nuts.
it out.
Like he didn't even know. I wish he did more like of the fairy tale ones, though. I don't think he ever did those, because those are so cute.
Mm-hmm.
And then he would like put them out on the side of the road and be like, take them.
But
then, like, my first year at college, he had a giant pumpkin patch.
I remember this.
And I brought probably, like, 30 to 50 pumpkins to Reno. And I literally had, like, 15 in my apartment. And I gave everybody I ran into a pumpkin.
Yeah.
It seemed like.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's pumpkins everywhere, and they were there forever.
Yeah.
Like, they never died. They were, like, everlasting pumpkins.
I had pumpkins. Yeah. Oh, my God. Pumpkins.
Up until the summer.
But, yes, my dad's got a real thing for pumpkins.
Any other major traditions?
Not really.
For me, Halloween's a little bit complicated. I think my parents... My dad, in particular, cared about Halloween. I don't really recall this, but there's always a picture of me when my parents were together dressed up as Halloween. Like, my dad has this picture of me as a clown, and I'm, like, maybe, like, 1 or 2 years old. So I'm, like, if people thought it was, like a doll that they had that he was standing next to, and it was, like, a picture of me, and I think he had that, like, on his desk for a while. And then there's, like, this one of my sister where she's the rag doll, the red one. Do you know what I'm talking about? With, like, curly hair and, like, a bonnet.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what that's called. I can't
Raggedy Ann.
Raggedy Ann. She has a really cute picture of her dressed up as Raggedy Ann. Like, adorable. And then after that kind of Halloween, my parents separated. And then when we were in LA, because of the Armenian community, we didn't really do Halloween very well. And it wasn't until I was, like, a teenager or, like, a tweenager when we could go, like to the other neighborhoods. But it wasn't really, like, that big of a thing. So I did prefer Vegas for Halloween for sure. Also, the entire neighborhoods took it seriously.
Yeah.
So in terms of, like, traditions, I don't necessarily have any. I personally really like Halloween because I feel like it's a low expectation holiday. Like, no one else matters on Halloween. Like, you can do it by yourself. You could do it with others. There's no really gifts involved. So there's no expectation. All it is just to go out and have fun. So I particularly love the holiday.
Yeah. It's good. I was going to say, also, the infamous elementary school fall festival with the infamous cakewalk.
That part. So I did want to read this. So basically it says here that Halloween origins date back to ancient Celtic festival of Samhain. The Celts who lived 2,000 years ago, mostly in the area that is now Ireland and the United Kingdom and northern France, celebrated their own New Year on November 1st. So this day marked the end of the summer and the harvest and the beginning of the dark, cold winter. Time of the year was often associated with human death. Celts believed that on the night before New Year's, the boundary between the worlds of the living and the dead became blurred. On the night of October 31st, they celebrated Samhain, when it was believed that ghosts and the dead returned to Earth. In addition to causing trouble and damaging crops, Celts thought that the presence of the otherworldly spirits made it easier for druids or Celtic priests to make predictions about the future. For people entirely dependent on the volatile natural world, these prophecies were an important source of comfort during the long, dark winter.
I read somewhere that they first started carving turnips.
Yes, I have that noted here. Well, okay, so what I have on that is, okay, so there's two things. One was that they would build a massive fire. Which I think is brilliant. We should bring the fire back. So they'd build a massive fire, and that kind of ended in the early half of the 20th century. And it was replaced with two things. Yes, the turnips, but the turnips were also lanterns. So people could walk at night, but they would also use because the fire was.
I don't think the turnips were lanterns.
So there's a part in here.
They had lanterns, and they would carve turnips.
So there's like kind of cross intersects here. It seems like because it says that basically the fire, the point of it was to guide the spirits.
Yeah.
And so they replaced that with candles, and then lantern like to hold the candle. Parsnips, I think, were part of it, and that's why they're carved to like still have like light. And then from there, they realized that pumpkins were bigger and made more sense, I guess.
I read that they just started carving turnips into scary faces to like put in their windows to like ward off the evil spirits. And then I was kind of confused where they started lighting them, because then in another place it explained all about like jack-o'-lanterns and like why they're even called jack-o'-lanterns, and just because people at night, like watchmen with lanterns, and they didn't know what to call them, and like just a really common name is Jack, so they just call him like Jack of the Lantern. And then But yeah, so then there's the carved turnips and then the jack-o'-lantern, and then at some point they realize pumpkins are like easier to carve, and then if they wanted to put light in them, I'm sure it like just made more sense, because I feel like turnips aren't like big enough, and like I saw a picture of one and it didn't look hollowed out, like
just carved.
Yeah, so I'm a little confused on that, but at some point the carved face is to ward off the evil spirits, and the lights got incorporated. Right. Because I also read that the jack-o'-lantern was to like ward off the face was to ward off the evil spirits, but also the light was to like welcome
the good ones,
your deceased ancestors. Right. So.
Yeah, I mean, I personally do not enjoy carving pumpkins. I think it's a messy, irritating process.
You cut yourself.
And yeah, you never have the right tools, and it's just like, and you just...
Yeah, the tools you buy are always terrible.
Yeah, and it's just like and they get rotten, and so I feel like they're great when you have like a family. Otherwise, they're a complete waste of time and energy. Just paint the thing, and it makes it so much cleaner and easier. But turnips, I would love to whittle a little turnip, and then you just like... and goodbye turnip, but you can't even eat the pumpkin either, so it's like,
yeah. Would you ever roast the seeds? We would sometimes do that.
I think
they're never as good as you want them to be.
No, they're never like, and they're always like, you can't. They're also, compared to sunflower seeds, which we eat like more regularly, those are so easy to like open, and pumpkin seeds, I know you can eat the whole thing, but
yeah, but then you're just like,
yeah, you're like chewing on.
Actually, could be some good fiber.
So is corn. So one of the other things I want to talk about, so we already talked about how like from the Celtics, it went to the Romans. So after the Romans, the church. Ooh.
Catholic Church.
Yeah, and so the popes wanted to like, make these holidays more church friendly. So because people would be more likely to join the church if their favorite festivals remained to some degree. So basically on November 1st, they used to think about all the saints as martyrs. Like the day was moved from like May to November. And then like sometime after that, they wanted to celebrate the All Souls Day. And that was the day to honor the dead, which is also kind of like how we get to like Dia de los Muertos today. But basically All Souls Day was similar to Samaway, whatever it is. Yeah. And they had big bonfires, parades, and they all dressed in costume as saints, angels, and devils, which I think is actually really great.
Does it make you feel better about dressing as a devil?
Just a little bit. So All Souls Day turned to All Hallows, to the All Hallow Mass as like the day before Saints' Day. And so the night before it...
I heard Hallows meant like to sanctify.
Quite could have been.
Read that somewhere.
And so basically All Saints' Day slowly turned into All Hallows Eve, and then eventually Halloween.
How do we get that ween in there? Where the fork did that come from?
Ween.
I feel like All Hallows Eve makes like more sense, but I don't know where the ween. Who knows? I don't know. But I know like...
I don't know.
Like the Celtics already had like the relationship of the time of year relating to death and then their own way to honor the dead. But I know less about that than how the Catholics took it and then also made like a Day of the Dead. Well, I guess because the Celtics believe, right, that like the veil was thinned and that could more likely to be able to talk to the dead.
Right.
Or like do divination. Divination?
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 I think it might be divination. I don't know.
Divination.
I know what you're talking
divination.
about. We probably shouldn't. She's gonna send us a text.
Scared.
And it's gonna be like the most obvious thing ever.
I'm just never mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Are there any other... I don't know. I mean, our traditions are hella basic. Like, they're just the good old American funsies.
Right. So, speaking of the all-American, how did we get where we are from what was going on with the All Saints, right? So, basically, and this is kind of obvious, I guess, but not really. So, Halloween was extremely limited in colonial New England because of the rigid Protestant beliefs. Who would have guessed? However...
I was gesturing to my bonnet.
Customs from different European ethnic groups and American Indians meshed, and we kind of started seeing this like emergence of Halloween come along. And basically the first celebration included these play parties, which were public events held to celebrate the harvest. Neighbors would share stories about the dead, tell each other fortunes, dance, and sing. However, these colonial Halloween festivities kind of became time to tell ghost stories and become like very mischievous. And by the 19th century, an annual autumn festivals were common, but Halloween was not yet celebrated. So that's where we were. However, in the second half in the 19th century, America was flooded with immigrants. And those Irish fleeing from the potato famine helped popularize our current celebration of Halloween.
They brought the turnips. They're like, check this out. You just put this in your window? Pretty cool.
Pretty sick. So I honestly think that's kind of interesting in the sense that, like, I love an autumn gathering. Mm-hmm. Like, I really enjoy that community sense.
Also, like, because it is, like, time of big harvest.
Right. End of harvest. Get all this while it's good.
Mm-hmm. Get all fat before the winter.
Yeah. And, I mean, Thanksgiving is similar to that, but having one that has some kind of spiritual, spooky background to it makes it, because Thanksgiving is all about giving and being grateful. Yeah. And in American culture, we don't have really a Memorial Day. Like, we have Memorial Day, but that's mostly for like our fallen soldiers.
Yeah, that's very specific.
Yeah, and so like in the Armenian background, like there is like a holiday for the dead, which I think is which I think is really important to have.
I agree.
So being that the United States doesn't have it at all, I think Halloween having this like remembrance should be brought back.
Me too. I was gonna say there's like two things happening. It's like celebrating harvest, but then like having the day to, like, acknowledge whether you think that, you know, the veil between the dead and the living is thinned or not. Taking a day to remember our ancestors,
our loved ones,
I think would be pretty meaningful.
Yes, I concur.
And it's just funny because here we are dressed as geese, and it's just a fun holiday right now, but holidays, you know, even in the name Holy Day, like, they're originally all very meaningful.
Right.
And not to say that what we do now for Halloween isn't meaningful, but it's definitely, like...
It doesn't have a spiritual meaning to it. So even, like, Christmas is really fun, but, like, you know, if you're OG about it, you're still going to, you know, go to church or have, like, some kind of Sabbath with your family of sorts. And, like, you know, American culture has obviously, like, kind of removed a lot of that for a bunch of people. But Halloween so happens to have the least amount of importance.
Yeah, which is honestly crazy.
Because it's the most celebrated.
Well, but also, like, remembering the dead seems like a pretty, like, not unimportant thing to do.
Right, and it's very secular, I feel like, because, like, part of the issue, or it's, like, very open to all groups.
Right.
Like inherent, like Christmas, okay, kind of exclusive, Easter exclusive, you know, all the other ones have like whatever, ruffling my feathers. But Halloween and like the idea of having some kind of remembrance for the dead, whatever you do, I feel like that is like just very human. And like our country just was like, nah.
It's weird too because, you know, obviously we were a country like founded by Christians. But then, like you said, originally it was, you know, very uptight Protestants that I don't think liked any holidays. I don't know. I would just, or I think they were really trying to, because like the Roman Empire, they took the Celtic traditions and tried to like combine them with their religion. But I'm guessing the Protestants just thought that because it was combined with originally Celtic traditions and pagan traditions, they're like, gotta cut that out.
Right.
That, I mean, would be my guess.
Yeah, I fully agree.
But I think it's weird because since we still celebrate Halloween, I would think that they would much rather have it be a Day of the Dead than what it is now. I feel like to them, they would be like, this is a day of sin now. Like,
right.
Like, just absolute debauchery and, like, Oh, Lord. Halloween expressed by the average person, like today, especially the average, like, adult, I think they would die.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised.
I don't know. I mean, I'm not very religiously enlightened, but I think there are specific things where having any connection to the dead is negative. Like, you're not supposed to in some sense as well. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Protestants...
in Christianity?
Yeah, somewhere in there. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the Protestants didn't celebrate it because the Catholics did. And that was just off of principle.
Yeah.
You know, and like, you know, just like kind of villainified...
Oh, totally.
The thing.
But you know what I mean? I think that's kind of ironic that... Because that's, like, not what, you know, we believe in. So they ripped the really meaningful part that, like, Celtics had for it.
Right.
And because of that, now it's just left as a dressing as geese.
And speaking of, like, the removal of, like, certain things, so... After what I was talking about in terms of, like, we had Halloween and, like, finally we have, like, the Irish come, right? The Irish come and...
with their turnips.
And, yeah, this, like, they come. I don't know if they came with the turnips, but they came. And they conquered. No. So by the 1920s and 30s, Halloween had become a secular, community-centered holiday with parades and town-wide Halloween parties, and there'd be entertainment, and this would happen with, like, schools and communities. But what happened is at this time, vandalism began to, like, plague society terribly. So a lot of communities were like, none of this. So by the 50s, town leaders had successfully, like, limited vandalism, and Halloween had evolved into a holiday directly maintained by the young. And due to the number of young children created during the 50s baby boom, the parties moved from, like, town centers and classrooms into the home.
Interesting.
Where they could be more easily accommodated, I guess, which I think is the downhill of Halloween. I think it needs to be community-based, and it does not need to be internally based. I think we've kind of come back from that, but that was because, and this is crazy, between the 1920s and the 1950s, the century-old practice of trick-or-treating was also revived. Trick-or-treating was a relatively inexpensive way for an entire community to share the Halloween celebration. In theory, families could also prevent tricks being played on them by providing the neighbors' children with small treats. Cut down the vandalism. With that being said, there is a new American tradition that is now a $6 billion holiday called Halloween, and it is the second largest commercial holiday after Christmas. With that being said, speaking of shmoney, 1/4 of all candy sold annually in the U.S. is purchased for Halloween. That's bonkers.
That is bonkers.
That should be illegal.
For some reason, I totally blocked out the candy part.
Of the trick-or-treating?
Somehow.
What do you mean?
Like, I just haven't thought about that. Like...
At all? As, like, a tradition? Can you trick-or-treat in your neighborhood? They're really long roads.
We would... Oh, I totally forgot about this. This is, like, in the countryside. So, obviously... we don't have, like, houses touching houses, and the roads don't have sidewalks. So they would have all the kids...
And drunk driving's allowed, so...
They would have all the kids go to, like, one house. Like, this guy, and he had, like, a tractor with, like, hay in the back. And so we would all hop in the hay in the tractor, like a hayride, you know? And then we would go on the street to, like... houses.
Aww,
yeah.
That's kind of adorable.
I know. I totally forgot about that. Because when I got older, I just started trick-or-treating, like, in the city.
The city. Is that what we're calling it now?
No, it's a ton. It's a ton in the ton. You don't get a lot of candy that way. I'll tell you that. Because it's like, 10 minutes to the next house.
Yeah. Sounds kind of depressing.
Yeah. But it was fun. I mean, it's cool.
Well, you're mostly hanging out with friends at that point. And
it's
these
fun
are pit stops.
Looking back.
Right. And it's kind of adorable when you just imagine it driving down the road.
Yeah.
So borrowing from European traditions, Americans began to dress up in costume and go house to house asking for food or money, a practice that eventually became today's trick-or-treating tradition. In the late 1800s, there was a move in America to mold Halloween into a holiday more about community and neighborhood getting-togethers than ghosts, pranks, and witchcraft. Yeah. And parents were encouraged by newspapers and community leaders to take anything frightening and grotesque out of holiday celebrations. Because of these efforts, Halloween lost most of its superstitious and religious overtones by the beginning of the 20th century.
That's
so
depressing. But that's what I mean. Even those people, it's like they wanted it to be, which trick-or-treating, like, I don't know, if you're with parents and kids, it's still somewhat that wholesome community event.
Right. Because everyone has to be on, like, everyone knows that this is the day.
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't know. I can't reason this. Or, like, help me out here. Because it's like, young adults today, like, Halloween is just debauchery. But it's like, would young adults back then, when it was more religious, like, care a little bit more?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, it was also like that, like, because young adults had nothing to really do.
I'm sure they'd be more likely to, I mean, young adults just do debauchery anyways. Right. So I'm sure it was in combination. Yeah.
Like, what else do you do?
Right. How else do you celebrate?
Mm-hmm.
But if we could all go build a big fire.
Right. In the forest.
In downtown Reno.
Well, yeah, there was a part in it that, like, probably part of the reason they stopped doing big fires was because it became, like, a hazard.
Yeah.
No but I'm
way.
Like, if you have regulated big fires.
You know how much BLM land we got? Just open.
No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you have regulated fires.
Right.
City controlled fires.
City-sanctioned giant bonfire?
It'd be insane.
We could totally do it.
And, like, it would be, like,
hot firefighters on standby.
Not dressed in costume, police
peeling
officers.
turnips.
No, I think that would be a good way to get a lot of vibes out. I don't know. I think it'd be a good time. Do you have any, like, Halloween movie traditions or anything?
No.
No?
Nah.
Do you want to hear about the Halloween backstory?
Yeah.
In these movies, so it started off with verbal and then plays and whatever. And then you've got books like Frankenstein and whatever. And then there's arguments about, like, the first movie. But in American history, the main one seems to have been, the German. And there's in 1922, there's, like, a Dracula knockoff that kind of just came from the book. Mm-hmm. And so on and so forth. So, yeah, these things kind of play off of each other.
Nosferatu? I know that movie's hella old.
Yeah, I think it might be that one. And then from there we get into, like, you know, the classic Halloween franchise. And that's kind of all I have to say. But Halloween movies have now, like, fallen into two places where it's like Halloween and, like, Scream and Slasher. And then it goes into, like, the more, like, family friendly, like Beetlejuice and The Great Pumpkin, Charlie Brown and things like that. So
Charlie Brown's old.
It is old, but it's great.
It's like 60s.
But I wonder, like, before people had, like, Halloween, I mean, before they had Halloween movies to watch, they probably just told stories.
I don't know.
I was going to say, you know, another huge religious, non-religious holiday we have?
Are you talking about Valentine's Day or Arbor Day?
Think Saints.
Mardi Gras?
Yeah.
Well, that's not like a...
It's 100% religious.
Well, no, I know. I mean, but Mardi Gras is specific to New Orleans.
Yeah, I know.
Like, we don't celebrate Mardi Gras.
I know.
But, it's like, Fat Tuesday is the holiday, but...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we should.
Yeah.
No.
I don't know. I mean, I would love to go to Mardi Gras. I'm just not Christian, so I feel like I can't just hop into Fat Tuesday.
You know, I mean, because the whole thing is
it wouldn't make sense for me.
Right. Because you're not going to do Ash Wednesday the next day.
I would love to participate in the debauchery, but...
I don't even know if it's the next day. Right, because that's the day before Lent.
Mm-hmm.
And you're supposed to just go nuts.
Right.
Before you got to...
Which is so funny.
Hey.
It's just funny, like, the natural, just, like, human responses to things. Because there's no way that when they were like, all right, so we're going to have this 40-day period of, like, holy fasting and, like, repenting. I don't know what they do. You know, like, it's about giving up something to be a better person. And, like, I don't think they ever were like, so the night before,
we're going nuts.
Crazy.
Banana time.
There's no way.
No, I think it's like the normal
just
thing
the
for
natural human
like if you're gonna go on a diet the day before, you're like, okay, I need to
like
eat
it probably started
everything.
out. You're right. It probably started out as like, okay, we're gonna do like a fast for 40 days, so then like eat a big meal before, you know,
right?
And then like, oh, we're gonna give up alcohol this time. Okay, so I'm gonna get really drunk before or something, and then like it just like spiraled
into Fat Tuesday, which is insane.
To showing your titties so people throw beads at you? Like, what? Insane. So you literally turned into a prostitute the night before? That's bonkers.
Duh. How else am I supposed to go 40 days?
I'm showing my titties to everyone.
No bread, no alcohol, and no tits? Come on, bro. No, it's definitely a man-made construct, though.
I wonder if that would be interesting.
How the Protestants.
They'd be so proud.
The Protestants.
Into the country that we turned into.
Our founding fathers would be thrilled. All right, so I'm going to tell you the last few things, and you can pick what we talk about next. So All Souls Day and soul cakes go together.
I read about the soul cakes.
I have a big thing to say about the soul cakes.
Soul cakes. That'd be a good band name.
Yeah, black cats.
I think I'm going to call you a soul cake.
I think that's a cute nickname. Black cats and ghosts on Halloween. That's the second one. And just like other. And then the lesser known rituals and Halloween matchmaking.
Oh.
So where do you want to go?
So you celebrate Grandpa and get hitched?
Something like that.
Well, I'm guessing the black cats and all that wombo gombo is about witches and all that tomfoolery.
I didn't actually know that. I mean, I guess it makes complete sense. And once I read it, I was like, duh. But yeah, in the Middle Ages, people believed that witches avoided detection by turning themselves into black cats. Which I was like,
Bro, have you heard, I don't know, I've read so much about, witches and, all their lore and, broomsticks. And somewhere, I remember reading about, them riding their broomsticks, having for some reason, the way I'm remembering it, this can't be right. I'm remembering them, applying, why ointment? I don't know. I'm thinking of, balms being applied to the broomstick. Maybe that's because of lubrication. But then, riding them.
What?
No, that's a thing. Look it up.
I think you might have missearched on Pornhub.
But I don't know what the ointment had to do with.
Well, I mean, you have to lubricate
a broom
if you're going to do that.
Right. But yeah, that was definitely a thing of them, riding their broomsticks. And then also, it said stuff about them either taking, psychedelics and so them, flying is obviously,
I like that one better. I like that alternative much more, actually.
Especially because the broomsticks back then.
Right?
When they were just sticks put together.
Yeah,
that can't be right.
No. That sounds like just terrible. There's no way. Be for real. Anyways, the other thing that superstitions from ancient Egypt, well, they really care about their triangles and they're really sacred. So, walking underneath a ladder
it's
was
the strongest shape found in nature.
Yeah. What about a hexapolyoid?
Gabagool. Because it's you, your partner, and God.
Oh,
when you get married, that's the strongest relationship found in nature.
Right. Anyway, so walking over a ladder, whatever, breaking the triangle is a huge thing. And then because of this, somehow these superstitions.
Oh, because it's a triangle. That came from all the way from Egypt?
I think the idea of just breaking triangles in general, and then they said that's how we got walking under a ladder tends to be fairly.
That's so interesting.
Yeah, and then it also says that around Halloween we especially try to avoid breaking mirrors, stepping on cracks, and spilling salt. So our superstition comes out, but the superstitions do date back to the Celtic times.
Step on a crack.
Break your mama's back.
Your kid'll be black. I'm sorry.
You did grow up in the sticks.
In the broomsticks.
In the broom
that we rode.
Multi-purpose.
They don't have dildos in the sticks.
All right. So I think the broomsticks lead us right into ritual matchmaking. And so basically,
because once you can graduate from your broom to a real person.
I'm a real boy now. What?
Oh, it just made me think, what were the guys doing? They were over there with the turnips. They're carving.
See if they can make it into her face. If you can, that's how you know you'll marry her.
Oh, no, Isis.
So.
Bad taste.
So basically, there's a bunch of them, and the idea in theory was like either you would figure it out like from one way, or it would come into fruition the next year. And so many common ways were there's two related to the apple and the bobbler. So one of them was that you would write the names of your wanted to be suitors. And then whichever one you caught bobbing was the one that would be it, right? The other one relating to apples, that's one of the alternatives.
You would write who you wanted and then...
On all the apples. Like any possible suitors.
Oh, multiple suitors that you want.
Or our options.
You put all your options and then whichever one... Okay.
So that was one way. The other one relating to apples was that women tossed apple peels over their shoulders, hoping the peels would fall on the floor in the shape of their future husband's initials.
That can't be good if you like a Tom.
Right. Right. Or like
or a Quincy.
Or a Zachary. Maybe. Because it's like a W. But yeah, Quincy's
There's got to be some
out of
unfortunate names.
How do you... Yeah.
Or like Matt.
Frank.
Can't be good.
Frank's probably impossible.
But everyone is named John, so that probably worked.
Right, and all apple, curve. So this one is kind of weird. So basically, they tried to learn about the features by peering at egg yolks floating in a bowl of water, and stood in front of a mirror in a darkened room holding candles and looking over their shoulders for their husbands' faces.
Okay.
I don't know the logistics of that one.
I think we should try it.
I think that we should bring that one back.
It looks like a chicken.
I was going to say Danny DeVito.
Can I think of a guy that looks like an egg yolk?
There was also this huge part about chestnuts. So at some point, I think it was in the 18 or 1900s, nuts were huge.
His jawline's pretty rough.
He's got a weak jawline. But nuts were a big part of this, and I actually enjoyed that because I told you about in Armenian. No, well, in Armenian culture, there's a whole thing about the fall and nuts and spending a whole period of time busting nuts. So for October to be a designated, or the 31st to be a designated
bust a nut
day,
yeah,
you would know exactly when it's happening, which I think is kind of cool. But basically, they would write initials or something on the nuts and throw them into the fire, and if it turned to ash or if it didn't, it had some kind of symbolism. Another one here is, and this is also known as a charm cake now more so, but there was in the 1800s a matchmaking cook would bury her ring into into mashed potatoes on Halloween night, hoping to bring love to whoever found it.
Wait, what? Cake.
No, mashed potatoes. Take off her ring and plop it in the mashed potatoes. And hope whoever found it would find love. And I think that's kind of a cute way to sacrifice your jewelry. I just don't chew, so I would have just. She'd be like, "Where's my ring? All the potatoes are gone." And then the last one that I have here, we could. The last one I have is that young woman ate sugary concoction made out of walnuts, hazelnuts, and nutmeg before bed on Halloween night, and she would dream about her future husband. Aww. Which we actually have something like that in Armenian culture. There's I forgot what day it lands on. It might be Valentine's Day, but you eat a salty cookie and you can't drink any water. You have to eat it before bed. And you can't have any water. Something like that. Armenians out there, correct me if I'm wrong. And you're supposed to, and the person in your dreams who brings you a glass of water is supposed to be your like suitor or like love or something. It's kind of cute, right?
So cute.
So everyone is eating a salty cookie before bed.
That's so funny.
I think it's a really sweet kind of.
That would be bananas, though. I'm kind of terrified.
To eat a salty cookie before bed and see if anyone shows up.
Yeah. Imagine if somebody did, though. What if it was like your dad?
Gonna be a spinster, alone forever. But yeah, I think it's a cute thing.
No, that's fun. I want to do that.
That one we're bringing back. Mm-hmm. Oh, and that goes back into the charm cakes, what they also do in New Orleans for Mardi Gras. They put the baby Jesus. Yeah, the baby Jesus. Charm cakes, usually whoever finds it. They do it on Easter, too. It's like a very common King's cake. And it's also done on Easter, and it's done all the time. So the charm and the food is like quite... Thing. Yeah, and I forget why. I know Armenians do... Oh, we do it on Easter, too, I think. Yeah, it's in the tall cake. So it's a huge thing to put things in food that you're going to swallow. But we can't have like Kinder eggs because those are choking hazards. But the religious people get to just personal belongings. And so the last thing I have is soul cakes. And these ones, do you want to talk about what you learned about soul cakes?
So I read that, so back to like trick-or-treating, it was like the poor would go around, and the rich people would give them soul cakes. So in exchange for them praying for their deceased loved ones.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Why?
Well, because it started with Irish and Scottish immigrants in the U.S. In the 1900s. And basically, they're called soulers.
The people that do it?
That would, like, go around. Mm-hmm. And usually children and people without any means went door to door offering songs and prayers in exchange for these small shortbread cakes. And that just makes me feel sad.
Yeah.
So now what I do think we should do and how we should bring this back is that we should, on days like Halloween, go give to the poor. Like, we only do it on, like, Thanksgiving and Christmas. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. But, like, especially when, we just stated, like, 1/4 of all candy is bought this for Halloween. It's like there's obviously the means, and it's like when it's getting cold and sad. So I think like if society was to adopt something, it should be bringing back thinking of the less fortunate on a day like this, because this is such a terrible holiday if you are less fortunate.
Yeah, well, exactly. It literally has just become just gluttonous and debauchery that's like meaningless, and like it's really sad. And obviously people are gonna have their opinions about what religious meaning it should have, but with more meaningful holidays, usually more like self-reflection happens, and then you think of the less fortunate, and with this holiday losing all of its meaning also goes that us trying to be better people.
Yeah, and another thing that kind of brings it states on is like, one soul cake given, one soul saved, which is like, again, like that shouldn't. It's just so, because like back then people really did starve. Like in the United States, no one really, like starving is not an actual fear that is real. Now, whether you have what you want to eat or whatever is a different thing. But like starvation is not like a fear. But like, there's these immigrants that came from starving and are still starving. And it's like, let's just give them a shortbread cookie. And I don't know. It just like made me really sad. And also made me think, because they would go around like praying or singing like songs, like, is that what Christmas carolers are too? Is that the same thing?
I don't know.
Because if they are, that makes me also depressed.
Yeah.
Because I always think about bringing joy.
Probably. I feel like now they seem like just
church people.
Yeah, that are happy and go lucky. But probably maybe like for money, like for the church,
Right.
Just for like donations.
Right, which I think is like common, like as what it is now.
Which and also a lot of churches then would like
feed people.
Yeah. So.
The other thing that I have on here about the soul cakes, it was referred to going souling. And children would...
I feel like, I don't know. Obviously they would like sing songs and stuff too, but there's something sweet about the fact that they would just give them something in exchange for them praying for a deceased loved one.
Yeah, no, that is very, again, we can bring it back.
Like that form of currency is kind of swag.
Yeah, no, definitely. Paying for prayer?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Talking about prayer as a form of currency sounds not good, but I mean, I think the sentiment is beautiful.
Valuable, yeah. And then, so we already talked about how like people believe that ghosts came back to the earthly world,